Super Mayhem.
Hello friends, it's Tim here again from Super Mayhem. Ow! And boy howdy, do we have some game hacking action for you today. I seem to be on a bit of a Sonic rampage lately, which kinda reminds me, if you haven't already, then get your answers in on the Luigi clap on the video that is all about Sonic 2. But as for the Sonic thing, that's a good thing in my books. So if you love Sonic, Sega, 16-bit stuff, or just game hacking in general, then be sure to smash a big fat thumbs up on this bad boy, and subscribe with the bell on too. And with that, let's curl up into a ball and get going Sonic the Hedgehog style. So first things first, there are a couple of interesting things you can do in the 16-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog without the need for a Game Genie. For example, if you're on the title screen, you can enter up, down, left, right. A ring sound will play, and then you can hold A and start. If you have done it correctly, then you will have access to a level select screen. If you've got a keen eye, you might notice that this screen lists zones in a wacky order, except for the first and the last zones. This might mean that the order of the zones was changed to account for difficulty levels or something. You can also access the sounds for each level down the bottom of the screen, which is pretty cool too. Without getting too far ahead of ourselves, there is also a Game Genie code that is AJ3A AA4G. which also gives you the option of selecting your level. But we will get to more of them shortly. Another interesting code to enter on the title screen is actually the same as the previous code, except you push C after the directional input. So it's up C, down C, left C, right C, and then again a ring collecting sound will play, and if you hold A and start until Sonic shows up on the level, and then you have just entered what is known as Debug Mode. This is quite well known in Sonic games as an area where you can place items, become invincible, and in general goof off around and test stuff out. It's well worth a shot, especially if you don't have a Game Genie. I tried building a tower of red springs, but it turns out if you go too high in the game, then Sonic will die. So just a heads up. This is a crazy mode though, that is intentionally put in place by the Sonic developers to test things out. So go ahead and go crazy and play as a rock, or just kill a bunch of mechanical fish. There are no rules here, it's the best. Speaking of the best, I guess it's time to take a look at some of the classic default Game Genie codes for Sonic the Hedgehog on the Genesis. Before going any further, if you're using the hardware, there is a master code that has to be entered for any of the cheats to work, and that master code is ATBT-AA32. However, if you are using an emulation tool, you won't have to worry about entering this code at all. So lucky for us, there are actually some seriously cool Galoop cheat codes for this game. You have the standard start with 1 life with the code AE3T-AACL, and then a slightly more helpful one that lets you start the game with 5 lives when you enter AY3T-AACL. As always, there isn't much else to say about these codes, other than they exist and they can help or hinder you. There's also the Game Genie code GJ6A-CA7A, which will give you infinite lives, so that one's a little bit more helpful. From these mundane codes, things start to get a bit spicier though. For example, the code AEOT-CABE makes you stay invincible for the rest of the stage, or until you somehow die. That's once you have hit the invincibility monitor, in the first place. The invincibility music will stop after its normal period, but you will remain invulnerable to pain. It's pretty sweet. Spits still cause death though, which I guess makes sense as there's no coming back from falling down an infinite hole. AEOT-CABY is the same deal as the invincibility cheat, only with your badass speedy shoes. There are actually a number of codes relating to ring counts too, which is quite interesting. This ranges from the code SCRA-BJXO, which counts each ring you pick up as 2 rings, which is awesome. But that's not all friends. This goes all the way to the crazy cheat SCRA-BAXO, which counts each ring you collect as 8 rings. This is a fun way to rack up lives and points, if anyone cares about the latter. Coin TVs will still give you 10 rings though, so no matter the code, you'll still be getting 10 from them. There are some fan-discovered cheats that take this stuff even further, but we will get onto that a bit later. If you don't want to go around hunting for Chaos Emeralds, but still want the satisfaction of having them, then give the code AY3T-BA4R a try. This bad boy will have you starting the game with 5 Chaos Emeralds, which is pretty neat. The next 3 Game Genie codes are worth testing out for sure, as they all have different effect on your jumping and are kinda similar to the default Super Mario Bros. 1 codes. Who needs springs when you have DDLT/AAGL, which will give you what's dubbed as a super jump? BDLT-AAGL will let you browse the skies with what's known as skywalking, which basically lets you jump over the entire stage with just a few presses of the jump button. And finally, the code KDLT-AAGL is probably the least fun, as it gives you a low jump, which is kind of more of a hindrance than a help with gravity pulling you down. And with those 3, we have rounded off the default Game Genie codes for Sonic the Hedgehog 1. I have to say they are probably some of the coolest default codes I've seen for a game so far, so that has to say something about blast processing or something. There are literally hundreds of fan-discovered Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis Game Genie codes. Way too many to show here, so I'll have to try and pick some of the best, or this video will be hours long. To start with, there is a nice extension to the number of rings picked up each time. The code HCRA-BAXO makes each ring count for over 1000. Yikes, that's a lot of rings! It even glitches the counter. With that many, you may need the cheat AWRT-AA5W, which makes it so Sonic doesn't lose rings when hit. Technically, your rings do go flying everywhere, but your counter stays the same, so you can even recollect the ones you lost to increase your ring count. This is a pretty handy cheat, really. If you are playing for points for some reason, then an interesting cheat is 663T-BA4R, which will give you 9,999,999 points when you kill the first enemy. Oh, and if you're still worried about rings with all these codes, then try the cheat NRRT-AADY. Whenever you are hit with at least 1 ring when using this bad boy, your rings will revert back to 99. You can easily rack up the lives by just getting hit by an enemy and collecting back 1 ring of the lost rings. It's quite fun, really. There are also a few interesting enemy related cheats, like NCLT-BYE6, which for some reason makes the good old crab meats go crazy and fly back and forth across the screen. In fact, you can even make them disappear completely with the cheat NCLT-B9E6, which makes each level that little bit easier, I guess. You can also try the Game Genie code MDLT-AAGG, which will make projectiles from enemies weirdly float to the bottom of the screen. This also has the added bonus of making Sonic float when he jumps, so that's something. Unfortunately, it also makes the game unpassable, as you can't really jump up platforms, so you can't get very far in the first level. If you prefer your enemies scrambled like your eggs, then try the cheat AEMT-ANSO, which throws all kinds of mangled up enemy sprites into everything throughout the world, and even the Sonic intro. Look at this glorious mess! It kinda hurts my eyes and brain, to be honest, and also makes the special world unplayable as you get stuck, but other than that, it's pretty cool. If you want to mess with Sonic, then boy howdy, there are some codes to do just that, such as AY3T-AACE, which simply gives you a disembodied Sonic at the start of the game in the title screen. You can't even enter the game, as when you press start, Sonic just flies by. Or how about MDLT-AAGC, which puts everything upside down and jumbles up the HUD when you jump. You get stuck too, you never land, stuck in the abyss of Sonic Town. HDLT-AAG8 was meant to just fly Sonic around, but I got some weird illegal error. Whoopsies. Well, maybe you want to play Sonic but only at 50%? Well, the code WWXA-AC32 will only show you 50% of Sonic on the title screen. So that's pretty good. There is a ton of codes that affect the graphics of the game as well, such as the code AELT-AACW, which will produce what the creator calls Atari Graphics. This is actually super awesome, as it accurately combines Atari graphics with a few 16-bit sprites. It's great watching Sonic fly around Atari-styled levels, and I think I even managed to get a Chaos Emerald in this mode, but somehow I'm not really sure. Another interesting one is MDLT-AAG4, which will muddle up the animation of all things, and it gets all kind of jumbled up. It starts off subtle, but you can only float around and then things get a bit chaotic and fly all around the screen. It's crazy. I even found one cheat that was simply labelled Nightmare Code, so naturally I had to try it out. If you enter in your game Genie AEMA-ACEE, all kinds of weird stuff happens to the graphics. You can't see rings, crab meats are a weird mess, but overall it's still kind of playable. I tried this out on Labyrinth ACTU, and things underwater were not fun. I think I died from a giant Sonic head, maybe? Another one with a strange name caught my eye, which was referred to as Serial Killer Code. AEMT-BAD8. So naturally I had to try it. To be honest, it wasn't as bad as I expected. It will put various pictures in the background and foreground. It's super weird but seems to leave enemies alone, so it's actually a more playable version of the game compared to the Nightmare Code, in my opinion anyway. AEMT-BJBO is a secret code that glitches all of the scenery, but you can still see and break hidden items and even see walls. The graphics are super crazy and seems to be filled with spikes. The bonus stage was whack as well, with numerous unobtainable Chaos Emeralds, lots of free falling, and eventually getting stuck between two bumpers. My head feels funny. Speaking of weird levels, AEMT-BJBA8 will give you some strange kind of special world. Not only are half the graphics missing from the stage, but when you get to the special world, by hitting the ring at the end, it has loads of emeralds and even warps to other zones. However, the moment I entered, I automatically got myself a Chaos Emerald, so that's pretty good I guess. And finally, if you really want to break the game even further than we have, then the code NELT-AADC will do just that. With this mysterious cheat in play, everything will be completely glitched and it'll be nearly impossible to play. Personally, I like to call it Picasso mode. That's patent pending though. Weirdly enough, the special stage is pretty much normal though, so that's pretty cool too. And that's it for today my friends. I really hope you enjoyed hacking Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sega Megadrive/Genesis. If you did, then be sure to leave a like, share it with your friends, make a comment maybe suggesting what I should hack next, share a code or just say hello. I'm really lonely. And of course subscribe and ring the bell if you are new to the channel. There were just so many cheats I didn't cover for this game, so I wouldn't be surprised if I missed some good ones. If you guys really like it, there may even be a part 2 of the show. Who knows? Anyway, that's it for today friends, I'll see you soon.